Hello, and welcome back to Burning Bones, the outward run where I have no armor and can deal only fire damage. In the last episode, I finally acquired Leyline Connection and said I'd siege the Spire of Light. So, after some sleep, I hesitantly step out of Monsoon. In the previous episode's fight with the Marsh Archer Captain, I completely depleted my stock of Firestones and Warm Potions. So, before attacking the spire, I need to get some oil to replenish my losses. Thankfully, I remember the location of some deposits of oil from previous playthroughs, so I channeled my inner America and set out to hunt for oil. On the way, I see an old friend, a Tyrannosaur, directly where I needed to go. Without any way to currently fight back, I decided to stealth past it. And luckily, it didn't notice me as I plundered the oil and ran away. With the new ammunition, I stealthed towards the Spire of Light so as to not waste any items. On the journey, I encounter an ash giant blocking the path, a very strong foe. I try to sneak past it, but I'm dummy thick and the clap of my non-existent ass cheeks alerted him to my presence. Thankfully, he was quite slow, so all he could do was listen to the rhythmic clapping of me sprinting away. Eventually, I make it outside the Spire of Light and begin my test. The goal is to see how many warm potions or firestones it takes to defeat the light-based constructs, specifically how many it takes to defeat a golden minion and a golden spectre. This will let me know the general amount of ammunition I'll need to clear the spire. I played extraordinarily passive, only attacking the golden minion when I was far enough to be safe. After a few hits, it went down and I rested a bit before fighting the golden spectre. I was just as passive as before, and due to that, my fire infusion ran out, so I had to use a firestone to finish the fight. But finish the fight I did. This experiment let me know that it took around 1 or 2 firestones or warm potions to clear a golden minion and a golden spectre. Since I'll have to fight through 4 golden minions and 2 golden specters, I figured I'd need around 4 to 5 of either stones or potions to clear the spire. I then run back to Monsoon and unload the goods I got from the test, and head back to the spire picking up some oil along the way. Using an alchemy kit, I make some potions before going inside. The spire is a large ornate tower constructed with magic, filled only with constructs. This is due to the simple fact that the Lightmender, the one who constructed this tower, has absolutely no bitches. His maidenlessness is actually so bad that he has no friends either. Truly, his ability to repel the general populace is rivaled only by my own. The goal of this expedition is to flip 4 switches throughout the complex to remove an incredibly annoying barrier blocking the shortcut to Enmerkar Forest. To accomplish this, I burn through his army of constructs with extreme prejudice and more extreme cowardice. This goes well until I'm sneezed on by the last golden minion and must retreat for a moment. This time away, while best for safety, proves to have been a bit of a miscalculation on my part. Upon returning, I don't have enough time to fully finish off the last golden minion with elemental discharge. Rather than to use my last warm potion to defeat him, I just sparked him to death, slowly. Once done, I flip the final switch, salute my brothers, and head back to Monsoon to sell everything and buy the final skill, Fire Affinity. This skill passively boosts my fire resistance and fire damage by 20 and 15% respectively. The bonus to my fire resistance is nice, especially since fire damaging enemies are generally speaking resistant to fire. Shocker, I know. So this buff to my resistance slightly evens out those matchups. That said, the boost to fire damage is all around extremely useful, as it just improves my effectiveness in all combat. Finished with Monsoon for now, I loot the spire a bit more, salute my fallen brethren, and use the newly opened shortcut to travel to Enmerkar Forest. Enmerkar is a forest full of ghosts, bandits, roided out deers, manticores, people infested with parasitic insects, and people corrupted by the fiery influence of a lich. It's basically your average forest, if that forest was utterly hostile to your very existence. My stop in Enmerkar is brief. I go to Berg and sell off all the goods from the spire, buy a backpack, and start prepping to go to the next area. I had wanted to stay here a bit to get enough money for the last breakthrough skill of the run, but I only had around 200 silver and I didn't know the location of the oil nodes around Enmerkar to get the literal firepower I needed to raise enough money. So instead, I decided to immediately head to the Abrasart Desert, and more specifically, to Levant for the Warm skill. This skill will stop my dependence on warm potions for infused fire, greatly reducing my oil consumption and allowing me a truly infinite method of attack. So, eager to start my journey, I head out, realize I didn't sleep, turn back and take a nap, head out again, realize I forgot something, turn back and get what I need, head out once more, realize I was going the wrong way the entire time, turn back for the last time, and finally head out to Abrasar. After that 100% intentional comedic routine, I greet my brother long enough to get ambushed by some bandits. I notice them before they're able to attack and run away. All they can do is listen to the dummy thick clap 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 into the dead of night. Eventually, I get to the gate for Abrasar and begin my journey into the dark desert. Abrasar holds a variety of monstrous bugs, corruptive horrors, and quite possibly the worst environment in the game. It ranges from the hottest possible temperature to extremely cold, corresponding to day and night respectively. Simultaneously, food and water are difficult to come by, which makes replenishing your resources costly. Essentially, it's Australia. That said, once you make it to Levant, it is easily the best place to quickly attain wealth. More importantly, Levant holds the trainer for the warm skill, which provides the elemental boon for fire, the thing I've been consuming for my impractical flaming sword. Now able to benefit from the warm boon only using mana, I can reliably use fire infusion whilst also benefiting from the 20% bonus fire damage. Eager to test my new power, I head outside and start an impromptu pest control service. After culling enough insects to accumulate a small fortune, I move on to the next part of my plan. You see, I had a few goals here in Levant, one of which is insanely difficult, explaining why I went to Monsoon first for the extra skills, despite Levant likely being a better place to go immediately after Cierzo. There is a weapon here, the Compass Wood Staff, one of, if not the, best weapon for my build. The problem with getting it is that I have to defeat the Guardian of the Compass, which lies within the Walled Garden, also known by its community-given name, the Colosseum of Mechanized Pain. Named as such for the abundant amount of golems within its walls, an enemy type immune to burning, my primary source of sustained damage. Additionally, several of these golems are arguably stronger than the Rusted Enforcer which clapped me a while back. And of course, there's the Guardian of the Compass, a monstrous enemy with about 5 to 6 times more HP than the Rusted Enforcer, and it deals 3 times as much damage, meaning I'll likely get one shot if I take the wrong hit. How am I supposed to beat this monster, you might ask? Well, as I learned from a certain pro bird, cheap tricks and cowardly tactics are necessary when at an overwhelming disadvantage, the core ideology behind my plan of attack. Outward has an interesting mechanic which I have been avoiding in this run up to this point. Traps. You can set up a tripwire or pressure plate traps to hurt enemies if they step over them. The reason I've been avoiding them up till now is quite simply I couldn't use them. All tripwire traps, which are the ones that I could craft and use, don't deal any fire damage, so they're out of the picture. There are certain pressure plate traps that deal only fire damage though, but I couldn't use them because they require a skill to do so. Luckily, this skill can be learned in Levant. The main problem with using these traps is how expensive they are. There is a method to reducing this cost, but doing so will also make all traps deal additional physical damage, so it's not acceptable in this run. Thus, I can only use traps sparingly as they will always be an income sink. With the small fortune acquired from killing bugs though, I buy the necessary ingredients for the traps, making enough for 17 total. Now this alone isn't enough to kill the Guardian, only dealing a little over half his health. I could have made more, but with the episode as long as it already was, I felt I should try with what I had. I'll just have to make up the difference with my attacks while the traps give me an opening. With my preparations complete, I head out to the Walled Garden, and perhaps to my grave. I dispatched the sword golem guarding the garden by utilizing the outward equivalent to Skyrim's stealth archer build, which is hitting it once and running away like a bitch until it gives up the chase. Once done kiting the golem to death, I head into the garden and set up the traps. After 4.5 minutes of placing and arming the traps, I drop off my backpack and head back in to start the fight. I get the Guardian of the Compass's attention and try to lead him back to the traps. Sadly, my dummy thick clapping alerts another foe. A stray beast golem follows me and dies to 2 traps, further reducing the amount of damage saved for the Guardian. Grasping at straws for possible sources of damage to the Guardian, I set down a sigil of fire and set it alight, hoping the traps might knock it down in such a way that it gets wrecked by the ring of fire. The gambit works, and along with the trap damage, the Guardian is more than halved. But I knew some of the traps didn't go off. I thought I might be able to lure it back to the traps and finally kill it, but it was risky. If I failed, I would be stuck in the garden with the Guardian between me and the exit. While I was hesitating on whether I should flee or not, a miracle occurred. The Guardian aggroed on a nearby hidden rock mantis, distracting it long enough for me to easily get into an advantageous position while dealing a solid amount of damage. When the rock mantis dies, I get the Guardian's attention once more and run to the traps. There were 7 left, or almost a quarter of the Guardian's maximum health left in trap damage. It might just be enough if the Guardian hits all of them. The Guardian confidently walks into the first 3, immediately breaking its stability and causing it to fall over. After tanking 2 more, it sets off into a murderous charge before dying to the last 2 traps. There was just enough damage left in those traps to finish off the Guardian. And I don't know if I can accurately describe how I felt in that moment, so I'll just let my Twitch reaction do the honors. Holy shit, we got him! Holy shit, we actually beat him! Come back and pry the staff from its cold, never-alive hands and run back to Levant. With the Compass Wood staff now in hand, I deal an additional 20% more fire damage and have 20% mana cost reduction, meaning I fight fiercer and for longer with it equipped. Now done with Levant and Abrassar, I plan to head back to Berg to finish my character before finally starting to beat Outward. But that will have to wait till next episode. Thank you for watching all the way through. If you liked the video, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe so you can get an alert when I make the next part. Whether you do or you don't though, I hope you have a good day.